very unlikely that the local wind speed would have toppled this enormous wind turbine, and that the materials may have been faulty. Does that sound likely to you?
Well, it's always possible. You know, what I was trying to say before I was so rudely interrupted by the absence of broadband in southwest London is that, you know, we've all got our hostility, I think, or many of us do, to wind turbines as a panacea. And you just outlined how they are not going to play the dominant, certainly not the exclusive role, along with solar power, in Britain's electricity future. At the same time, we, you know, in our disgust with our reliance on unreliables, as I like to describe them, we shouldn't be alarmist about how often this happens. As far as I know, it's the only occasion in the UK. When wind turbines first took off, Kevin, you know, there was a lot of discussion from our environmentalist friends. Could they create wind turbine syndrome with you in the studio, Kevin? And, you know, there just might be a case that some cows puked up and some local inhabitants, you know, receive some vibrations. But we have to remember that alarmism about environmental impact is everywhere. If you start from it as a green, you're going to find an objection to green technologies as well. So before we rush to say, wind turbines, what a joke, you know, they do provide some energy. They're just not the panacea that the Greens make them out to be. And you know, where they have their defects, disposing of them, their intermittency. On the other hand, their technology is improving. You know, fewer gears, no gears, bigger blades. You know, there's something to recommend them.
Indeed, but they are very visible sort of indication of our green intentions, and I think that is part of the role that they play, but it tends to make people believe that somehow they are the solution, and it doesn't help when you get people like Ed Miliband saying renewables are the solution to all our energy problems for the future. Right. They're anything but that, aren't they?
Well, I like your point. You know, they are the kind of graven images of our day. You know, now environmentalism isn't the same as religion, because religion has some sense of trying to transcend the status quo and some sense of meaning, some kind of social responsibility. Environmentalism doesn't do that. And, you know, we need to remember that its irrational elements can exceed those of religion quite easily. And that, I think when you're talking about the aesthetic there, Kevin, you know, that's a subjective question. I mean, one man's, you know, beautiful wind turbine is another man's, you know, horror. And we could discuss that. Depends on the context.
Well, we'll discuss it in the future. The other thing I want to discuss with you in the future is that these wind turbines are not good news for our feathered friends. They kill loads and loads of birds who get sucked into their vortex, and they die, which is horrible. James, pleasure to speak to you as always. We'll talk again soon. James Woudhuysen there, visiting professor at London South Bank University.